The Oklahoma City Thunder decided to hit the reset button and fully rebuild during the 2019 offseason. Thunder GM Sam Presti and the front office shipped off everyone of value except for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and are now looking towards the future. But what if I told you that the man behind this hard reset wasn't even a part of the Thunder organization at all? With one shot, Damian Lillard put the Oklahoma City Thunder into one of the quickest and craziest rebuilds in NBA history. And I'm here to tell you how it all happened. But first, I have to take you back to where it all started. In 2006, Howard Schultz sold the Seattle Supersonics for $305 million to a group of Oklahoma City investors led by Clay Bennett. Following the approval of the sale by the NBA, Bennett announced in 2007 that the franchise would be moving to the great state of Oklahoma and would be calling Ford Center, which is now known as Chesapeake Energy Arena, home for the future.
The NBA will be in Oklahoma City next season, playing their games.
The 2008 NBA draft would be the final one in which the Seattle Supersonics would have a selection, as the official relocation didn't happen until a few weeks after the draft, and they selected a point guard that would later become one of their franchise's cornerstones.
With the fourth pick in the 2008 NBA draft, the Seattle Supersonics select Russell Westbrook from UCLA.
The year prior, the Seattle Supersonics drafted a 6'10 small forward out of Texas named Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, aka KD, went on to win the NBA Rookie of the Year award in his first and only season in Seattle. The Thunder's first season in Oklahoma City was far from glamorous as they finished with a measly 23-59 record, which left them in last place in the Northwest Division. The season wasn't a total bust, however, as Kevin Durant made a massive second-year leap and led the team in scoring, with a stat line of about 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. Russell Westbrook finished 4th in Rookie of the Year voting that season, and he averaged about 15, 5, and 5. Entering the 2009 draft lottery, the Thunder had the 4th best odds to land the number 1 pick. They didn't get number 1. They did move up one spot, where they selected James Harden with the 3rd overall pick. Going into the draft, Harden was compared a lot to Manu Ginobili of the San Antonio Spurs, and the Thunder used him in a similar way, by having him come off their bench as their 6th man, to help provide a spark plug and scorer in the second unit. The Thunder were projected to turn it around from their 23-win season the year prior, and they did. They finished 50-32 and were one of 8 teams in the Western Conference to win over 50 games. Unfortunately for them, they were in a 3-way tie at 50-32. Because of the tiebreakers, the Thunder became the 8th seed, where they fell 4-2 in the first round to the first-seeded Lakers. Looking to bounce back in the fall of 2010, the Thunder met expectations and finished 55-27, granting them the 4th seed going into the 2011 playoffs. After winning the first 2 series 4-1 over the Nuggets and 4-3 over the Grizzlies, the Oklahoma City Thunder advanced to the Western Conference Finals, where they were set to be matched up against former league MVP Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks. Unfortunately, experience got the best of the Thunder in this series, as the Mavericks won the series 4-1 and advanced to the NBA Finals, where they went on to defeat the Miami Heat and the Big Three. It had become clear around the league that the Oklahoma City Thunder were building something special with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. The 2011-2012 NBA season was shortened because of a lockout due to the expiration of the 2005 collective bargaining agreement. In the 66-game season, the Oklahoma City Thunder would go on to finish 47-19 and be the 2nd seed in the 2012 playoffs. Eager to get their revenge on the Mavericks, the team that had just beaten them the season prior, the Thunder defeated them in a 4-game sweep in the first round. They also ended up taking down Kobe Bryant and the Lakers in the second round with a score of 4-1, and finally beating Tim Duncan and the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals 4-2 to advance to the 2012 NBA Finals, where they faced league MVP LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and the Miami Heat, who had been the finals runners-up the season prior. The Thunder stars were still pretty young when they made it all the way to the finals. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were both 23 and James Harden was only 22. The OKC Thunder went into the finals as the 2nd youngest team finalists by average age in NBA history, as 5 of their 7 rotational players were under the age of 24. The Thunder's 2012 playoff run would unfortunately finally come to an end in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, where the Miami Heat became champions for the 2nd time in the franchise's history. In the 2012 NBA Draft, the Thunder selected small forward Perry Jones III, who never amounted to much in the NBA. However, another Western Conference team, the Portland Trail Blazers, made a selection that would eventually go on to alter history. And with the 6th pick, they selected Damian Lillard. The pick originally belonged to the Nets, however it was traded to Portland in a deal that sent a 29-year-old Gerald Wallace to New Jersey. Going into the 2012 and 2013 NBA season, it was assumed that the Thunder were going to run it back and try to make a return to the NBA Finals with a similar roster as the year before. However, the Thunder offered reigning Sixth Man of the Year award winner James Harden a 4-year, $52 million contract extension, which he declined. It had been reported that Harden was seeking a deal closer to 5 years, $60 million. Thunder and Rockets GM Sam Presti and Daryl Morey had been in talks about a James Harden trade. It had become clear to Morey and the Rockets that if Harden did not accept the Thunder's final offer of 4 years and $54 million, then James Harden would be going to Houston. And just 3 days before opening night, on October 27, 2012, James Harden was traded to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb, 2 first-round picks, which became Steven Adams in 2013, Mitch McGary in 2014, and 1 second-round pick that became Alex Abrinas also in 2013. Daryl Morey called Harden Houston's foundational piece with his new contract extension that ended up being for 5 years and $80 million. The Thunder came up short in the next 2 seasons with a second-round exit in 2013, and they also fell to the Spurs in the conference finals in 2014. Kevin Durant was named the 2014 NBA's most valuable player.
When you didn't eat, you made sure we ate. You went to sleep hungry. You sacrificed for us. You the real MVP.
The 2015 season would also prove to be one to be forgotten for the Thunder and its fans, as they did not make the playoffs, mostly due to injuries. Kevin Durant only played in 27 games throughout the season. The Thunder and Kevin Durant, who was set to be an unrestricted free agent after the 2016 season, were in championship or bust mode. They were expected to be the main rival out west to take down the defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors. Thunder finished the 2015-2016 regular season with a 55-27 record, which left them as the 3 seed going into the playoffs. They went on to defeat the Dallas Mavericks and San Antonio Spurs in the first and second rounds, to once again advance to the Western Conference Finals. There they would face unanimous MVP Stephen Curry and the record-setting 73-9 Warriors. Oklahoma City took a 3-1 series lead into Game 5, needing just one more win to make it back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2012. However, the Golden State Warriors went on to win the next 3 games to send the Thunder home. Going into the summer, Kevin Durant, who had just come off of a 27-7-3 performance in Game 7, was set to enter unrestricted free agency. And on July 4th, 2016, Kevin Durant made a decision that would shock the entire world and would rattle the NBA. He announced via an article in the Players Tribune that he would be going to the Bay Area to join the Golden State Warriors, a team that had eliminated him in the playoffs just months prior, and had not gone on to win the NBA championship, as they too blew a 3-1 lead, except in the NBA Finals, to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Russell Westbrook and the Thunder were stunned. It had happened. The unthinkable. Their superstar player had left to join the team that he could not defeat. This would go on to be considered one of the softest moves of all time.
How are you viewing this move from Durant?
Well, I'm viewing it as the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar.
And the fans let him know how they felt, calling him Snake and Cupcake, questioning his abilities and his achievements. Thunder fans felt hurt, and so did Russell Westbrook, who it was clear now that it was his team. Exactly 1 month after KD announced he was joining the Warriors, the Thunder inked Russell Westbrook to a 3-year, $85.7 million contract extension. Russell Westbrook entered the 2016-2017 regular season with something to prove, and this season would be one for the history books. Russell Westbrook set the record for most triple-doubles in one season in NBA history. On April 9th, 2017, Westbrook had his record-setting 42nd triple-double in a game where he hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer to take down the Nuggets. The previous record was set by Oscar Robertson in 1962. Russell Westbrook also led the league in scoring with 31.6 points per game. He also became one of 2 players in NBA history to average a triple-double for a season. The other was, you guessed it, Robertson in 1962. Russell Westbrook was named the 2017 NBA's most valuable player. Despite the effort of Westbrook and his teammates, their season did end as they fell 4-1 in the first round of the playoffs to old friend James Harden and the Houston Rockets. The Thunder knew they needed reinforcements around their new superstar going forward. On June 17, 2017, Indiana Pacers small forward Paul George had requested a trade away from the organization. And less than 2 weeks later, he was on the move. The Thunder and Pacers had agreed on a trade that sent PG-13 to Oklahoma City. Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis were sent to Indiana in the deal. This was a win-now, all-or-nothing move for Sam Presti and the Oklahoma City Thunder. They also further expressed their championship aspirations by signing Russell Westbrook to a 5-year, $205 million contract extension in September of 2017. The Thunder also brought in veteran Carmelo Anthony for the season to play alongside their two stars. Westbrook and George were seen as one of the NBA's new top duos entering that season. The Thunder finished 48-34, just one game better than the season prior. Westbrook once again averaged a triple-double, doing it now in back-to-back seasons. And OKC was matched up with the Utah Jazz in the first round of the playoffs, where they fell 4-2, sending the Thunder home early once again. Paul George entered free agency that summer and announced in a private party in Oklahoma City that he would be staying. He signed a 4-year, $137 million deal with the Thunder, and it seemed that Westbrook and George would be teammates in OKC for quite a decent amount of time. The Thunder, now financially locked in with their stars, they continued their hunt for a title in the 2018-2019 season. Paul George had a career year where he averaged 28 points per game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. George finished third in MVP voting. James Harden, formerly of the Thunder, finished first, and Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double for his now third straight season. The 6-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder got matched up against the 3-seeded Portland Trail Blazers. In a battle of the duos, it was Westbrook and George versus Lillard and McCollum. This would be a series that would define the future of the Thunder organization. The Blazers took a 3-1 series lead into Game 5, where one man was about to change history. With the game tied late, Damian Lillard got an isolation against Paul George, where he sidestepped from 37 feet and drained the dagger at the buzzer and waved the Thunder into the offseason.
Lillard, long-range three, and it's good at the buzzer!
One of the craziest shots in postseason history was Damian Lillard's 10th three-pointer of the game, and it got him to 50 points on the night, sending the Thunder home. That shot would define NBA history and force the Thunder to make some difficult decisions in the offseason. It had some unfortunate consequences for the Thunder organization, leading to some things that were certainly unexpected. On July 6, 2019, Kawhi Leonard, formerly of the Toronto Raptors, agreed to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers, but he was bringing a co-star along with him. In the craziest fashion, it was announced the Clippers were trading for MVP finalist Paul George. They sent rising star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round draft picks, and 2 pick swaps to Oklahoma City in the blockbuster, and it was clear that a rebuild was on the horizon. This deal came as a shock to the NBA world, as nobody quite saw this coming. This led most people to believe that Russell Westbrook would be the next one to go, and just 5 days later, on July 11th, Russell Westbrook was traded to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul, 2 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps, reuniting him with James Harden. This wouldn't be where the trade stopped for Sam Presti, as now 25 months later, he continued his expedition to secure as many first-round picks as possible. The Thunder are very much looking towards the future, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as their new franchise's cornerstone. As of this very moment, the Thunder have collected 36 draft picks in the next 7 years, and Sam Presti is still always looking for more trades to make. This will define the next few years of basketball in OKC. The Thunder have a bright future ahead of them, and hopefully their rebuild is quicker than they expect. But for now, they still have an exciting young team to watch on a nightly basis. And that is the complete story as to how Damian Lillard sent the Thunder into the quickest rebuild in NBA history. Thanks so much for watching.